Hello everybody, it's Ginger on Wheels here. We've done it. We've got the Ninebot Max G2. That's the scooter that I'm riding right now. It is the second generation of what was the most popular commuter scooter in the world, the Ninebot Max. So this scooter has got all the accessories and additions that people have been adding onto the Ninebot Max already built onto it from the Segway factory. So let's roll the intro really quickly and then we'll go over this scooter and all of the cool things that it can do. All right, so before we do a proper FPV ride video, we're gonna park the scooter somewhere and then we'll do a little walk around video of it, and I'll show you how it differs from the Ninebot Max, because the scooters do look very similar. The only real obvious noticeable differences right away are the size and the addition of a couple of little reflectors on the scooter. All right, let's go into this little park right here. I love going down this little pathway. It's like super windy. This is the best path to test the grippiness of tires. We'll go down into the grass a little bit. All right. As I said, this is the second generation of the Ninebot Max from Segway Ninebot, as you can see here. The scooter is very similar to the Ninebot Max, the original, except it has a few additional accessories that they've placed on it. It also goes a little bit faster, so significantly better value on this scooter versus the older one, which you can expect with electronics, right? They get less expensive as time goes on. So before I ride it, let's do a little walk around video. I'll show you all the cool things that the scooter has. This is the blinker, which the scooter does have. It's got a little multi-function button here, on-off switch for left, and then an on-off switch for the right side, and they're very bright. It's full-blown daylight right now, and I can see that very well. No one has an excuse to miss you when you use these blinkers at night. They're not like little tiny blinkers that are on the deck, or even the ones that protrude out from the bottom. They're almost eyeball height to drivers, and they're very, very bright. So best turn signals I've seen on any scooter so far, wired in, hands down from the factory. Awesome job. The horn is also an upgrade. The other Ninebot had a little bell, and the V-Set has a little beep beep, but this one, it's a loud beep beep. It's not like the V-Set that's a little whistle. This one is pretty loud. The handlebars, in case it's not obvious on video, they're a lot wider than the original Ninebot Max. I feel like maybe a half an inch or an inch wider on the ends because of the blinkers, and then maybe half an inch or an inch wider in the middle here. So they feel like 3 or 4 inches wider than the original Ninebot Max. It's very nice. That's great for stability at higher speeds, which this scooter also has. As you may or may not know, the original Ninebot Max had the boring little 17 or 18 mile per hour top speed, standard commuter fare, but this one goes up to 22 miles per hour, or if you're 230 pounds like me, it goes up to about 21 miles per hour. It went 22 on a full charge, but that was a very short-lived fun, because as soon as the charge gets off full, it goes a little bit slower. These right here, they're not blinkers, but they are reflectors, and they're bolted onto the scooter. They're very secure, and they're not going anywhere, so just extra visibility, a very nice little feature. The folding mechanism looks the exact same as the original Ninebot Max. It might be a little bit thicker and wider. I'm not sure. It feels maybe a little bit more robust, just like the width of the clasp, because I know that the original Ninebot Max had these braking, so I hope they've upgraded that, because the original Ninebot ones could have been a little better. As you can see here, or maybe you can't, this says hydraulic. That's because this has front hydraulic suspension, and it actually works really well over little tiny things like sidewalk bumps and the difference between the sewer height and the sidewalk. So great little front suspension here. It's only got maybe about an inch of travel, but it's a lot better than nothing, which the original Ninebot had. The front tire here, we've got the standard 10-inch tires. I think they're the exact same tires as the original Ninebot, and it's got a drum brake right here, so very low maintenance and hard to damage on the brakes there. But that's not the only brake that it has. In the rear tire, which is where the 450 watt motor lives, it's also got an electronic brake. So when you hit the brake, you can set the strength in the app, but it will use the motor to brake for you, either weak, medium, or hard. And when you're using the electronic brake, it also uses regenerative power to charge the battery back up. So a nice little feature. The original Ninebot had that too, but I feel like it's better implemented here. Believe it or not, it has the exact same battery as the standard Ninebot. It's a 36 volt, 550 watt hour battery, but this scooter goes faster, so you might munch through the battery faster at higher speeds. And Segway Ninebot thought of that, and they added this software feature called Ride-Along, and apparently it uses like an algorithm somehow to determine your riding style and make the scooter more efficient for your riding style and add more range. I don't know how true that is. is or if it's just a marketing gimmick, but they claim that it's true. So we're definitely going to be doing range tests on this thing and seeing how much range we can squeeze out of this 550 watt-hour battery. And we did really good range tests on the other Ninebot too, so we can see exactly how much that ridey long thing actually adds as far as range goes. One little click of the button here and we have a headlight. The headlight in the front here I think is the exact same one as the standard Ninebot, and it could be a lot better. You know, it's good, but it's not great. The only thing that it's got going for it is the shape of the headlight. It's flat on top and then it has like a little round thing on the bottom, so it's really good for staying out of people's eyeballs when they're walking towards the scooter. So when the scooter's folded, it looks just like this. And then you pull up a little plastic clip right here, clicks into place, and then you just go like that, and the scooter is locked into place. That's all you have to do. It's a very easy, intuitive folding mechanism. One other thing I noticed is that they've got a little extension on the fender here, so we're not gonna get as much rain or water spray on the suspension and the scooter and you when you're riding. I like that scooter companies are finally realizing that fenders are not just for looks, they're for keeping debris and water off the scooters. So this looks like it's gonna do a really good job. I like that. Very sleek design on the front of the handlebar here, just one brake lever, and as I said, this actuates the mechanical drum brake in the front, but also the electronic, you can see this wire here, actuates the electronic brake in the motor. It actually has brakes in both wheels, along with the traction control system, so no matter how hard you squeeze this thing, it's not going to lock up either of the tires, which I don't know how well that works in conditions like wet leaves or snow, but it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. The scooter also has a feature. If I leave it untouched for a couple of seconds, the display, which is really hard to see actually in the sunlight, says P right now, and that means it's in park mode, so it's actually a little harder to push. And if I tap the brake lever, like this, you'll hear it go deet deet. And now it says 0 miles per hour. That's because it's in a riding mode. But if you leave it untouched and you just let it sitting somewhere, it'll automatically go into park mode, so people can't walk off with it very easily. You can also set an alarm mode in the app, and you can set it with a passcode so that unless someone has your app or they know your passcode, then they can't walk off with the scooter. It'll lock the motor up. All right, that's enough chit chat about the scooter. Let's go for a little ride on it and I'll tell you how it rides. All right, let's get it out of the grass here. Ooh, little wheelie. First thing I want to say that's very obvious about the scooter when you're riding it off-road is that the fender does chatter a little bit along with the rear suspension. It's a little bit clunky, so it doesn't sound super duper smooth on bumpy terrain. Just kind of has like a loose plasticky rattly sound. That's not to say that it's a cheap scooter. I like that the fender is longer, but I think they went a little bit too long with it and they didn't reinforce it enough. So I don't think it's going to break off, but it just clanks and chatters a little bit against the brackets. So this is a pretty steep hill here. The Ninebot regular couldn't make it up this hill. It made it up this hill with the 48 volt battery upgrade kit, but this scooter is making it up the hill. And the motor is only 100 watts more power, but I don't know, Segway Ninebot has magical powers when it comes to doing things to scooters, and they've given this thing a lot of power. Considering it's only 36 volts, it's got a lot of oomph. So as far as the deck size goes, it feels about the same, but in the very rear of the deck, there's this little plastic lip that they added to like let you know that you're near the rear of the deck so that you don't accidentally step on the fender. Because that was one of the things, the most common problems with the regular Ninebot is that people would accidentally step on the fender, just either accidentally or because they're not used to the scooter and they would think it was a friction brake. But that rear fender was breaking off on a lot of Ninebot Max, so on this scooter they added a little lip on the rear of the deck so that you can't actually put your foot on it as easily. Very obvious without looking that you're about to step on the fender. In order to make it up these steeper hills, as a 220, 230 pound rider, I definitely need the Max Pack, which is sold by mymaxmods.com, and it makes this scooter a lot better. It gives it 48 volts instead of 36, as well as like 50% or 30% more battery, and it gives it more torque too. Is this new sidewalk open? They were working on this road for like a year. Let's see what's going on here. I love riding these little tiny scooters, especially ones like this that are actually zippy, because they're fun to ride. They're so narrow and nimble. You can like pretend like you're just a little razor knife slicing through things. On those big heavy scooters like the 011X or the Wolf King GT, they're just so big. You have to do big cumbersome slow turns and make sure you're not going to hit anything with the beautiful metal bars. But this is just so light and nimble. It's really easy to turn, so you can do things that you wouldn't normally do on bigger, more expensive scooters. Love it. It is really so fun. It is night and day shredding a light scooter versus the heavy scooters that I'm used to. They don't go as fast, but they're so much more nimble. Like if you had a smaller racetrack with tighter corners, the scooter would have such a huge advantage over something like a V-Set or a Wolf King or Mantis. Oh, I got a leaf stuck in my front wheel. There we go. So I do like that the horn is a little bit louder, but it's not as obviously like a horn or a bell noise. You know, it's a really loud beeping noise. I think it will get people to turn around, but it's not gonna obviously be a vehicle coming up behind them. It's just gonna sort of be like, what the heck was that? And it also doesn't sound as friendly. The little tiny bell that the original Ninebot Max had just sounds friendly, so people aren't gonna immediately get mad or upset or confused when they hear it. All right, we've been riding for a while now, so let's pull out the app and we can use it to see exactly how much battery we have left. All right, you can see in the upper right here, we have 64% battery. 2 new firmwares found. Bluetooth firmware upgrade and master control. We're gonna have to do some testing with the new firmwares. Usually with Segway Ninebot though, new firmwares just make the performance worse. So I'm gonna actually ask some trusted sources that I have if that firmware is gonna actually make it better or not. But you can see here, this is what I was talking about with cruise mode. You can turn it on or off, the energy recovery level, or you can put the scooter in walk mode. So if you have to walk it up a really steep hill, it'll actually use the motor to assist you, so it's zero work. Set the upper limit of sport mode. Customize parameters. Max speed after enabling it. Oh my goodness, was I not in max speed? Let's see if it goes faster now. All right, we're moving. It's a little straightaway around this corner. Is this thing actually gonna go faster than 21 now? You have to uncheck the sport mode button. Now it feels like it goes about the same. It's going about 20 miles an hour. Oh no, they closed down the whole sidewalk. What am I gonna do here? Good thing we got this nimble little scooter. Yeah, when I'm having fun on scooters, I make sound effects. That's just what happens. So if you're watching this video, trying your best to compare visually or mentally how the Ninebot Max G2 compares to the Ninebot Max, just imagine you're playing a video game and you got your Ninebot Max, and then you open the secret chest and it's like 25% bigger on everything on your scooter. And that's basically what the Ninebot Max G2 is. It's like 25% faster, 25% wider handlebars. I love the suspension on this thing, by the way. You don't get 25% more of that, you just get completely 100% suspension, and it's awesome. The front suspension is hydraulic, which means there's oil in there, and it does an amazing job of sucking up the little tiny bumps like right now on the sidewalk. And then the rear suspension has those 2 hydraulic and coil shocks, and when those hit bumps, it does a really good job of helping keep your feet planted on the scooter. On the original Ninebot Max, if you hit a big pothole or a bump, or if you go up a curb like this with a nice hefty lip, your foot can actually bump and it'll like rearrange itself on the scooter and land in a slightly different spot. So you're constantly shifting your feet around to try and maintain the best grip. Oh, across the street we got an e-skater commuting home from work. This is what I love about scooters. We can just cut to the front of the line, baby. Do 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 do. Hello, scooter coming on through. Look at this gap. It's like a 10-foot gap in front of every car. It's great for riding scooters around. Like the cracks and the bumps in the sidewalk, I'm used to what they feel like on the normal Ninebot Max, and they feel like all the harshness has just been completely taken off these bumps. It's great. You're gonna have so much less fatigue on long rides with this suspension. So with the Ninebot Max, you can get the Shark Set front suspension and the rear suspension. You can go on and hire an electrician to wire in blinkers onto your scooter and an audible little beeper if you want. You can also upgrade the firmware with the custom firmware and make it go a little bit faster. You can somehow try and modify the handlebars to make them taller and wider, or you can just forget about all of that and you can buy the Ninebot Max G2, which right now is the same price as the Ninebot Max was when it came out. I'm not an affiliate with any companies that sell the scooter right now, so just like buy it where you can. But huge shout out to mymaxmods.com for letting me borrow theirs, because they're about to dissect this thing and figure out all the new cool mods they're gonna make for this one. And then Segway is gonna inevitably turn that into the Ninebot Max G3 in a few years. All right, anyways, that's my video on the Segway Ninebot Max G2. It's basically just the Ninebot Max, but for adults. It's like 20% more powerful. It's got suspension, it's got blinkers, it's a little bit more roadworthy, same size battery, but it's also the same price as the original Ninebot Max. So if you're in the market for a commuter scooter that's gonna be reliable and last for years to come, definitely consider the Segway Ninebot Max G2 from Segway Ninebot. Ginger on Wheels, over and out.